Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll move down to the final talk of the day, ladies and gentlemen, and this is on AI in regulatory compliance. To do the same, we have the Vice President of Electronics and High-Tech Industry Lead, Accenture Technology Private Limited. The core area of expertise being program management, product lifestyle management. In current role, he is responsible for developing assets for high-tech clients and also regulations in communications, media and entertainment industry. PMP and Six Sigma certified, graduated from BITS Pilani and IIM. Gives me immense pleasure to call on stage Mr. C.P. Srivatsan. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please put our hands together for Mr. C.P. Srivatsan.
And we had a very insightful session from Dr. Adya. I want to first thank Dr. And the rest of the CSI team for having me here, because it feels really great to be among all of you. Today's topic for me is AI and regulatory compliance, and I want to start off with a small story. It's my personal experience. About 12 years back, I was working for a multinational healthcare organization. And I was told that there was a sudden, regulation from the FDA, and because of that, some factories had to be shut, right? And I was not really aware of that, and I was wondering what was happening. Then I came to know about this regulation called 21 CFR Part 11, which was to do with, electronic documentation and digital signatures. So because I was working part of a team which was involved in design of medical devices, right? I was along with my team, right? We had to do the computer system validations for all the applications manually. That was when I felt the pain of a lack of automation at that point of time, about 12 years back I'm talking about. So fast forwarding now, today we are in a situation where we have a lot of advancements. We've heard in the last couple of days what AI is and what are the improvements in this area, right? So before I get into how AI can actually help regulatory compliance and some of the key things, we will go through some use cases as well. I want to quickly talk about what Accenture is doing in AI and also what kind of tools we have, right? So to start off, we have a simple framework for AI, which basically has intelligence built in through the entire enterprise, starting from your enterprise strategy, where you could have different models for example as a service and so on, to intelligent process automation. That's the key area that we will be focusing today. And then moving to intelligent products, right? People spoke about ECO, which was launched recently, where artificial intelligence is getting embedded in the products itself. And then big data, data analytics, which is another key area now, which is gaining prominence. And all of this cannot be in isolation, right? It has to be with some amount of ethical responsibility. So we need to have some governance to make sure that it's all being used in the right way. So that's what this framework is about. And coming back to intelligent automation, so this is a very simple way of representing what are the various ways automation can happen, right from foundation to robotic to analytics, and then finally the AI side. Now what I was talking about in the beginning, right, about 12 years back, we used to have the foundation kind of automation, where we used to have isolated scripts which would be run and which would help us in kind of doing things faster. And then we had process automation improvements through using robotic automation, and then analytics came on. Now we have what we call as artificial intelligence, and then in that we have several areas, and I know a lot of us have already heard about computer vision and bots and so on. So that's where we are now. And coming to how all of this basically get together and then is helping us in regulatory compliance, right? That's what we're going to see now. Okay, so regulatory compliance is not a new area now, because there's so many regulatory standards that are there for different industries, right? I mean, I've just listed few here. You could have something for automotive, telecom. Also, I didn't mention the aerospace and defense, which is highly regulated, right? And also the healthcare industry. But when we look at all these kind of regulations, right, what really comes to our mind? few things should come to our mind. That is, all the regulations are normally, there's no, it's mandatory. There's no negotiations, right? You will have to do it, right? That's one. Secondly, some of these are actually time bound. So I'm going to talk about that. For example, we have regulation for GDPR. I think some of you would have already been, working on it or aware of it, which has a time bound, right? Like by next year, by May, organizations have to be ready with the process, tools, and technologies to really handle data privacy. Similarly, IFRS is other regulation, which is time bound. So time bound, most of the regulations are time bound, so it really makes sense for us to really use these intelligent automation tools to really speed up things, right? Third interesting point is, if you don't do it, then a lot of penalties, there could be lawsuits, and so on. So it's really mandatory for us to really have, for the interest of the business, to really pay attention and then focus on these compliances. So the first example I have here is IFRS 16. Just a quick context on what IFRS is, right? IFRS stands for International Financial Reporting Standards. There are multiple classifications here, but very briefly, there are two sets of boards, FASB and IASB. The FASB is basically followed in US, and they have the GAAP US standards. Similarly, the IASB is the International Standards Accounting Board, and they have IFRS, right? So what has been happening is, these standards are all different, and there is always a challenge in terms of, if I take a company that's following the US GAAP, and if I take a company that's following IFRS, how do I compare the financial statements? How do I compare them? How do I know if I'm an investor? How do I know which is good, right? So there was a need to basically have some kind of a convergence to make sure that the standards are kind of uniform. So that's where this IFRS standards changes have started coming now. We had several of them. IFRS 15 is one which is going live by end of this year, which is more about financial reporting. Similarly, this IFRS 16 is all about lease accounting. So if you have leases, the lessees are expected to include them in their balance sheets. So from the looks of it, it might look simple, but then there's a lot of process, organization, culture, and then tool technology changes that are expected to happen, right? So having said that, right, what is the big challenge here? So lease documents, Dr. Gupta was tagging data this morning. Unfortunately, a lot of the data is unstructured, right? So we get lease documents in, maybe in different formats, the way the contracts are, right? So how do we actually go through all of them, understand, what is basically the scope for us to really take it into our systems? By the way, we have ERP systems that can actually help us in handling these statements, right, when we actually publish it. But then collecting the data and then taking it in a proper way, right, to the ERP systems is a big challenge. So that's where the AI comes into picture. So this is a quick example of how AI helps, right? So Accenture Labs has been working on a particular cognitive engine called Accenture Cognitive Engine, and this is basically using your NLP and machine learning, right? So with this, what we've been able to do is, we've been able to take unstructured data, basically use OCR and then convert them into structured data, and then use NLP and machine learning to be able to get them in a standard format, and then using RPA, we are able to basically push it into the ERP systems, right? So as you can see, the pre-automation and the post-automation process, the real benefit here. So I just want to show a quick, there's a small video here, if I can.
Of the lease document, or sends it to a pre-designated email ID. The document is then automatically redirected to the Accenture Cognitive Engine tool that starts the extraction process. Using Accenture's digital workflow management, leases can now be processed based on priority, categorized as urgent or standard. The lease documents are processed based on priority. Once the Accenture Cognitive Engine tool completes the extraction, the racing details are made available for processing. Robotic process automation then eliminates manual intervention at the final stage of inputting data into client ERP. The new solution automates the entire process end-to-end, from data ingestion via digital conversion to release term review and extraction via cognitive computing through natural language, and finally processing via robotic process automation.
Yeah, so that was the quick demo of the tool. So this is just a case study of the same thing that we saw, right? So for a real estate contract company, how we have been using AI to really, automate the process of lease abstraction. Yeah, it's a combination. As I said, there are three things here, right? One is, once we extract the data, we use the natural language processor and then machine learning to really get it into that data model, right? And then we use RPA to really push it to the ERP systems. So it's a combination. Okay, so moving to the next use case, this is basically GDPR. This is to do with data privacy. So this regulation is actually hitting us May of 2018. So basically what GDPR is about is like for all European residents, right? They call it as personally identifiable information, PII. Any information, any piece of information through which a person can be identified, right, needs to be protected. So the kind of information that we are talking about here, it could be general information like, for example, name, address, your telephone number and so on. It could be your financial information like your bank accounts, right, credit card information and so on. It could also be your ethnicity and some of the other related information. So the challenge here for companies is, first of all, they don't really know the data really well, right? So for them to really understand where is the data, who's the owner of the data, and what is the personally identifiable information within their systems, that itself is a big challenge. And with so little time that is left, companies like Accenture are actually helping them to really speed up this whole process, right? So the process is like this. First you will have to first understand your landscape of applications where your data is residing, so that you are able to come to some kind of a classification. Okay, this is how the personal data is there. Then you look at means of protecting them, right? There's several means of protecting them. Encryption, for example, is one. Anonymization is other way of doing it. And there's so many other technologies or ways of protecting the data. But I believe the key challenge for organizations is to really get a sense of what is the actual data that really needs to be protected. Imagine, tens and hundreds of databases that needs to be covered, right, to be really scanned and figured out. So Accenture has this asset, right? Accenture has this asset which is built on machine learning. Yeah. So we have this asset built on machine learning, and we believe this is going to help companies to really speed up that data discovery process, right? So I was talking about the way you need to really figure out where the PII information is residing. So what the asset does is, it has got some unique features, like it has got the 240 critical data elements, basically like the fingerprint, right, about how do we actually match and figure out what a personal data is. So that's what this does. And also what it also does is, like, it does pattern matching to really be able to come back with that list of data and the systems, and then it basically does a correlation, right? And then, as you can see, it comes back with the actual matching, right? Basically you can use this for multiple things. You can use it for your programming or planning in terms of how you want to protect it. You can use it for your reporting to your regulators, right? And this can be done by persona wise. So if depending on the type of persona, this tool can actually help in retrieving the information. So that's what this asset does. And this is a quick case study on how Accenture is helping global telco in terms of speeding up the GDPR compliance process. So, so the key here is, once you know what data needs to be protected, then I think companies already have a good handle of what kind of techniques and tools need to be used to really use them. Okay, so this is the second case study that we have. The next one is on the pharma side. So pharmacovigilance, I don't know how many of you have heard of this term. Pharmacovigilance is to do with drug safety. Again, this is a regulation where, if you having new drugs in the market, you are expected to have a good track or traceability of all the adverse events. So you really have to capture the data, monitor, analyze, and then be able to report the data back to FDA, right? So pharmacovigilance is another mandatory regulation, and again, what we have done is we have used this Accenture Intelligent Analytics platform built on cognitive engine, which really uses natural language processor to go through these documents. These reports don't come in a standard way again, right? So they get come in different formats. So we use this cognitive tool to really scan them, identify the patterns, and then be able to build these reports so that they can be reported back. So another example of how AI can be used in a regulation. Okay, so just quickly moving on to the next one, which is on a export control. So this is an regulation on from the US side, where obviously when you have a courier company who's shipping to multiple countries across the globe, they have regulations. They have countries like, for example, Sudan, where you're not supposed to take any consignments, or you're not supposed to ship any consignments. How do you make sure that that is protected, right? So what we have is we have a robotics platform embedded in the mainframe systems, where the tool actually monitors the actions of the agents, right? So for example, the courier agents, they type in certain consignment numbers or they search for it. The tool behind the scene monitors these consignment numbers, and then it behind the scene then does a query and figures out what kind of all the details about the particular consignment, and also finds out if that has to do with any of the countries listed in the embargo list, and then gives an alert to the agent to say that, hey, don't proceed, this is not something that you're supposed to do, right? So this is again a big example of how automation is useful in terms of a regulatory compliance. Okay, so this is pretty much what I have. So if you have any questions, I can take them.
Parameters or something you just mentioned that.
Right.
Sorry. Hello, you mentioned those 125 parameters which you have.
Right.
Is it the generic text and standard formatting, like for example phone numbers, mail IDs, credit card numbers? Is it just that a comparison on that, or assuming that I have a phone number put up little differently, maybe as an alias, as a cell, or as a mobile, will it still be able to detect it?
It's the second one that you talked about.
It has aliases
Right,
built in.
right. And also the different ways a particular detail can be projected. For example, a social security number
Absolutely.
could be projected in a multiple ways. So
Aadhaar, one is Aadhaar, one is social security.
Right.
So you would be able to even identify those.
That's right. Right.
And but then this is all searching for tags.
That's right.
Assuming that I have wrongly tagged it, you still can miss it.
Absolutely. Right. So this is basically an RPA tool that we have.
You're talking about a plain vanilla robotics.
Right, right,
Okay,
right.
fine.
All right, so can we have you?
I just have a question on GDPR.
Yeah.
When you're talking about European, members of the European people who actually live in Europe, how does it affect India as such?
Yeah. So I'll just quickly go back to that slide. So there's this concept of controllers and processors, right? So basically, what GDPR mandates is that, for example, you're talking about European residents, right? But then a company in US, for example, is basically, handling, I mean, as part of their customers, they have European residents, for example. But then that US company is offshoring their IT work to somebody in India, right? So the US company becomes the controller, the Indian company becomes the processor. So the liability or the responsibility is on both the controller and the processor.
So indirectly, all outsourcing companies might have to
Yes.
do, whether we like it or not.
That's right. So that's why this is not a simple thing of just taking care of, for example, people say, okay, if it's data privacy, can we just do encryption, right? It's not just that. To give you an example, so there are people in, India, IT companies who handle client information, right? So if you just take a printout of that and then take it out, for example, that will become a data privacy. And then the GDPR is so severe now, the way the expectations are that, I showed you in this slide, right? The fines can be as high as 4% of the global turnover. So you can imagine the impact that will happen. And one of the expectations is that when a breach happens, the impacted party has to be informed within 72 hours, right? And there are so many other, aspects there. So, it's not just the controller company, also the processing company, in this case, which will be the Indian IT companies, also have to take measures to really make sure that, data privacy is secure.
Is it workable?
We'll have to wait and see, because of course there are several challenges there. Right now what we have been doing in our projects is all, as I said, we are speeding up the data discovery. We are trying to make sure that the customers are aware of what is the actual personal identifiable information and what steps they need to take, right? It's a journey. So we will basically come to know maybe in the next 6 to 8 months. I think there was a question there. Check.
Hello. The mic right at the end.
Thank you for the nice presentation. I am Dr. CRS Kumar. The question is that you have not discussed the machine learning algorithms which are being used by Accenture. Can you throw some light on this?
Okay, so basically all I can say is the Accenture cognitive engine is built using open source tools and Accenture IP, okay? And of course, this whole lot of different layers, it's got about 3 to 4 layers built into it. And I don't think I want to share that entire technical information here, but maybe we can have an offline discussion to really talk about it, right? But it is a combination of Accenture IP and open source tools.
All right, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. That was Mr. C.P. Srivatsan, VP Electronics and High Tech Industry Capability, Accenture Services Private Limited. May I call on stage Mr. Subhash Palkar, Managing Committee Member of CSI. Ladies and gentlemen, can we also put our hands together for Mr. Subhash Palkar, Managing Committee Member, CSI, who is going to felicitate Mr. C.P. Srivatsan with a token of gratitude. Can we put our hands together, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. C.P. Srivatsan and throwing us the light on AI in regulatory compliance. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, a very, very hearty good evening. 2 days of this conference wouldn't have been possible without our sponsors, ladies and gentlemen. And our main sponsor for this event is Accenture Technology. Our venue partners, IIT Bombay, website partner, We4Web, digital marketing partner, Broadside, feedback partner, Right Angle, media partner, Banking Frontiers. Can we please hear it for our sponsors, ladies and gentlemen? I'd now like to call on stage Dr. Gupta, Honorary Head of a CSI Mumbai, to honor our sponsors. And I'd like to call on stage our main sponsor, Accenture Technology. Do we have Team Accenture Technology out here? Members from Accenture Technology to kindly come on stage, Team Accenture Technology. So that's Mr. C.P. Srivatsan representing Accenture Services Private Limited, Accenture Technology. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our main sponsor, platinum partner, Accenture Technology. We'd also like to honor our website partners, V4Web. Can we have the members of V4Web? Oh, there they are. Can we have all of them on stage, V4Web? Ladies and gentlemen, as they walk towards the stage, can we please sound a round of applause for V4Web? Our hands together, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, V4Web. Thank you so much, Dr. Gupta, for being with us on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call on stage our jury member, Mr. C. Kaswadkar, Member Jury IT Innovation Awards 2017, and also Senior Vice President IT CCIL to give opening remarks of the award. So may I have on stage Ms. CK? Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Mr. Kaswadkar.
Thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. As a member of the panel of jury, I'm sure you are aware that Dr. Pradeep Pense was the chairman. As one of the members, I'm so happy to be with all of you here. Thanks CSI for giving us an opportunity. The job was not as easy because categories were quite a few. There were a lot of nominations. Every nomination was good. And many of the projects or the narration that was submitted was aligned to the transforming business with technologies, the theme of the conference with cognitive. However, the awards were quite a few other categories also, including the one which was related to cognitive technologies. The process has been explained by Mr. Pradeep Pense yesterday. We went through each one of the proposals that came in, absolutely unbiased. We are not at all representing any vendor organization or any consulting organization. We are doing it because we love CSI, and therefore we are there spending our holidays trying to find out what could be the justice to this whole job and assignment. Very happy to do that, and we'll continue to do whatever support CSI wants. Just one bit before I move on to the actual awards. This theme is about transforming business with cognitive technologies. One of the thought that creeps in my mind is we as CIOs or contributors in the IT industry, our job cannot end by transforming only the businesses using IT or any technology, be it cognitive or otherwise. My submission to all the people in audience here is to read the book by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, which says use of technology for societal transformation, because that's far too larger subject. Through business, we do change technologies. Through various technological solutions, be it banking or otherwise, many people are into that. But the larger focus of all the people in this hall who represent IT should stay with business, no doubt about it, but it should go much beyond. And societal transformation of the society through technology should be the goal as directed by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. My submission is that kindly read that book. It's a fantastic book. And many things that CSI tries to do is aligned to that. For example, industry, academia, collaboration, and so on and so forth. The students of IIT have put up a lot of good projects around that. In the tea break, me and Subhash and Rajit were talking as to how do we attract young industry crowd to the audience in CSI, and probably we'll have to get some ideas, because many of the people sitting in this room are probably going to be in this industry for a while, but the new generation should also start coming in larger masses so that they take the dream of various CSI presidents, including Dr. Gupta and current president, etc. forward. So that was my opening remark. The various categories have been there. I don't know how many people are there in the hall, but I would like to wish each one of the participants who is present or not present, wish all the best. The narration was very good. One input as a jury I would like to present, not to dishearten anybody, not to demoralize anybody, but in general it is said that technical people are unable to present themselves very well. Though they might have done fantastic work, many a time the marketing fellow takes the cream and we sit doing good amount of work. So in the narration also we felt that that kind of improvement must happen. The narration should be as strongly presented. I don't mean with a painting with blues and pinks. It should be presenting in a manner which will hit the bullet with the juries and therefore is able to attract the right attention there. This feedback is not only in the context of our jury awards or anything, but this might be directly or indirectly useful for your day-to-day business and progression in your career there. So with that, sir, may I hand over the proceedings to the MC? Thank you, Dr. Gupta.
Thank you so much, sir. Well, ladies and gentlemen, तालियों में कुछ दम नहीं थी. Can we please put our hands together for Mr. C. Kaswadkar? All right, we get into the awards, ladies and gentlemen. But before we get into the awards, I'd request the members who are sitting on the left and my right to please come to the center, to please join in the center, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you all sitting right, we have a lot of chairs vacant, we have a lot of chairs empty, requesting you all to please join in to the center. For those of you all sitting to the left also, if you could please join in to the center, that'll be great. All right, people from the left and the right को मैंने ऐसे ही हिला दिया. For what about people in the center? I want all of you all to stand up, please. Before we end this, I want all of you all to stand. Please खड़े हो जाइए. For one last time, ladies and gentlemen, we are ending this conference with the awards today, but we have to end it with happy smiles. We have to end it with a lot of energy, and I can see a lot of energy out there. Requesting all the volunteers of CSI also, all the students also to please join in, all the students of CSI also to please come in, backstage guys also to please come forward, because we're going to do something very interesting. Well, आप अगर permission दोगे तो क्या मैं हिंदी में बात कर सकता हूँ? Yes, yes, thank you so much. वैसे ना कहते हैं कि हर एक फाइट में हम क्या करते हैं? मुक्का मारता है कि नहीं? है कि नहीं? यार फाइट में क्या आप किस्त तो नहीं देते हो ना यार, मुक्का ही मारते हो ना? मुक्का ही मारते हो कि नहीं? फाइट में मारते हो ना? तो आज है ना, विद ऑल एनर्जी हम मुक्का मारेंगे. मुक्का मारने तैयार है? प्लीज पार्टनर्स को मत मारिएगा, प्लीज प्लीज मुझे मुक्का मारिएगा, वहीं से वहीं पर मुक्का मारिएगा. सो वॉलंटियर्स, आर यू रेडी? प्लीज प्ले. लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, बोथ योर हैंड्स लाइक दिस एंड वॉलंटियर्स प्ले. ऐसे ऐसे ही रहना, फ्रीज रहना. ऑल द स्टूडेंट्स ऑल्सो, एवरीबॉडी फ्रीज रहना. टुगेदर, जोरों से यार मुक्का. अभी आपके पार्टनर्स को देखकर मारिएगा. Let's see you wave your hands, wave your hands. Clap, 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 clap. Together, mukka. पार्टनर्स को देखकर स्माइल करके कीजिएगा. चलो मैं भी नीचे आता हूँ. 1 2 का 4 everyone, 4 2 का 1. My name is क्या बात है सर. Everybody. Alright, thank you so much volunteers. Ladies and gentlemen, we request all of you all to be seated. Alright, all the smiles have been captured and that moment we've been waiting for is the awards. And ladies and gentlemen, to give away the first set of awards, I'd like to invite once again on stage Mr. C. Kaswadkar, Senior Vice President IT of CCIL, member of jury of the IT committee. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please put our hands together for Mr. C. Kaswadkar? And yesterday we had the awards for the best non-banking sector, for the best CIO of the year. And today we're going to give in the best CIO of the year, banking, ladies and gentlemen. And any guesses? Which bank? Best CIO of the year, which bank? People are saying my bank, people are saying his bank. HDFC Bank. Yes, it is HDFC Bank. Mr. Munish Mittal, ladies and gentlemen. Can we hear it for Mr. Munish Mittal? Do we have Mr. Munish in the house? Well, at HDFC Bank, his key focus was to bring digital transformations to study emerging technologies, identifying concrete cases with bank for testing them and institutionalizing these technologies for the entire bank. That is Mr. Munish Mittal for Artificial Intelligence of HDFC Bank Limited. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special mention. Oh, yeah, sure.
Just half a minute. It's okay. Yeah, I owe a special thanks to CSI. Last year also, I was lucky to be given this award. This is second time. But that's not what the thanks is for. Whoever is here from CSI, I want to convey one simple, humble thanks. 30 years back, I passed an exam in a subject called COBOL from CSI, and that opened the door for me for my first job. So without anybody knowing, CSI has actually shaped my entire career. So thank you, CSI.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Manish. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special mention for CIO of the Year, Banking, and the special mention award goes to Miss Aarti Dhole of Cosmos Bank. Ladies and gentlemen, she has implemented all the technologies related to data center, payment, settlement, customer convenience. Aarti Dhole has put in all to implement the right technologies for Cosmos Bank. We have one more award for the best CIO of the Year, Banking, ladies and gentlemen, and the final award goes to State Bank of India, Mr. Mrutyunjay Mahapatra. Do we have Mr. Mrutyunjay Mahapatra in the house?
He's on the way.
All right, he's on the way, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to give the award a little later. In the meanwhile, I'd like you to put our hands together for Mr. C. Kaswadkar. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us on stage. Well, I'd now like to invite on stage Mr. Anil Sonkar, co-founder and Chief Technology Officer of BNED Loud Cloud. Can we please put our hands together for Mr. Anil Sonkar, ladies and gentlemen? Well, sir, you will have to now give in a lot of awards, and you'll have to give in the best CISO of the year, and ladies and gentlemen, the best CISO of the year goes to Mr. Y.V. Ramanamurthy, State Bank of India. Do we have Mr. Y.V. Ramanamurthy? Ladies and gentlemen, Y.V. Ramanamurthy, Agile Security Assessment of IT Projects. The Agile way of security assessments at every stage of every component of application ensures that at nascent stage itself the flaw is detected and otherwise wastage of huge time, effort and cost could be saved. Establishing bank's captive security operation center, SCOC, Security Operations Center, deals with security issues of bank's IT establishment. That was Mr. Y.V. Ramanamurthy. We also have the best CRO of the year, ladies and gentlemen, and that is from SBI Life Insurance Company, Mr. NKV Roop Kumar. Do we have NKV Roop Kumar? Mr. Roop Kumar is a seasoned risk and cyber security professional from the BFSI sector with around 31 years of rich work experience in handling risk management, information cyber security, business continuity management, fraud control management, operations and marketing. That is Mr. NKV Roop Kumar. Alright, we get into the next category, best company in terms of information security implementation. And ladies and gentlemen, any guesses? Can I hear some names for the best company in terms of information security implementation? Some throw of names. Some throw of names? No HDFC Bank? No SBI? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we give it to Tech Mahindra Limited, ladies and gentlemen. Can we please put our hands together for Team Tech Mahindra Limited? With 70% of security breaches arising due to application security flaws, with more than 60% applications failing in the compliance test, application security is a quick worsening problem. As more and more organizations go digital, suppliers are being mandated and compelled to align and adopt the best practices of security to develop and deliver safer and security applications to ensure customers' applications are not at any risk. That is Tech Mahindra. Well, ladies and gentlemen, best company in terms of information security implementation. Everyone's looking, everyone's looking. All right, we give it to TransUnion Civil Limited. Do we have the members of TransUnion Civil Limited? Do we have any members, volunteers of TransUnion Civil Limited? All right, TransUnion Civil Limited security transformations. Many of the servers were exposed to internet and are connected to internal servers that hold mission critical data. It became imperative to ensure that the servers were not vulnerable and completely secured against any kind of malicious activities. Securing the data center by ensuring the servers and applications are not vulnerable and protect against zero-day vulnerabilities was a concern. And we'll hand over the award a little later. Our final company, ladies and gentlemen, for best company in terms of information security implementation is Infocrats Web Solutions Private Limited. Do we have members of Infocrats Web Solutions Limited? Citizen COP mobile app. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Web Solutions has designed and developed Citizen COP, a personal safety, empowerment and convenience application working with the objective of one nation, one app. That app has special safety features for children, women and senior citizens. Alright, in that case, we'd like to thank Mr. Anil Sonkar, co-founder and CTO, BNED Loud Cloud. Thank you so much, sir. I'd now like to call on stage Professor Venugopal Iyer, Director, IOTM, Information Management Security. He is also the life member of Computer Society of India as well as Computer Securities Institute, United States of America, President Emirates, ISACA. Can we please put our hands together for Professor Venugopal, ladies and gentlemen. Best bank in terms of information security implementation. Now any guesses? Well, please do not guess HDFC because it is HDFC Bank Limited. Can we have HDFC Bank Limited, best banks in terms of information security implementation? They have deployed technologies to detect and prevent advanced persistent threats that include SSL visibility, decoys and anti-APT technologies in email, web and endpoints, integrating it into security operations, anti-advanced persistent threat. Best bank in terms of information security implementation, and we're going to give the award to SVC Cooperative Bank Limited. Do we have members of SVC Cooperative Bank Limited? Alright, the Privilege Identity Management Project, PIM, focuses on the need to monitor privileged accounts within an enterprise. That was SVC Cooperative Bank Limited. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, best bank in terms of information security implementation. Any guesses? This is going to be the final bank in the best category. Post which we're going to have a special mention. Best bank, any guesses? It is PNB, Punjab National Bank. Do we have members from Punjab National Bank? Information rights management. Right management enables the user to create security around the data, documents and facilitates expiry timeline like deletion after specified timeline, protect from application for allowing secured exchange information documents between individual and enterprises. Well, we have a special mention, ladies and gentlemen, and special mention bank in terms of information security implementation. That is the Gujarat State Cooperative Bank Limited. Do we have a member or members from Gujarat State Cooperative Bank Limited? One of the biggest concerns for banking and financial organizations with the world is cyber security. It involves meticulous planning for redundancy in network and security via both types, physical and logical. Ladies and gentlemen, since we do not have the members of Gujarat State Cooperative Bank, we'll be giving the award later to one of the members. I'd like you to put your hands together for Professor Venugopal Iyer. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us on stage. I'd now like to call on stage Mr. Uday Sangani, Director of Robotic Automation, EY. Do we have Uday Sangani? Ladies and gentlemen, can we please put our hands together for Mr. Uday Sangani, Director, Robotic Automation, EY. And the category being Best Government Organizations with Implementation of Cognitive Technologies. And the award goes to National Informatics Center, Government of India. Do we have members of National Informatics Center, Government of India? Online e-mutation implementation under NLRMP for District Akola. Implementation of innovative technology in from online to offline land record processing of improved service delivery increased throughout and cost-effective solution was done in by the National Informatics Center, Government of India. Best government organization for implementation of cognitive technologies, we give the award for Rural Development Department, Government of Maharashtra. Rural Development Department, Government of Maharashtra. RDD, Government of Maharashtra, is a secretariat department responsible for administrative matters of Zilla Parishad employees. An important chunk of this are Zilla Parishad teachers who teach in Zilla Parishad school. Education by teachers play a pivotal role in imparting quality education. These schools provide education to so many students, including those from rural, tribal, Naxal and remote areas. Rural Development Department have been placing a phenomenal act in these areas, ladies and gentlemen. Best government organization with implementation of cognitive technologies, and we call on stage the Revenue Department, Government of Gujarat. Do we have the Revenue Department, Government of Gujarat? Alright, we'll hand over the award a little later to them, their project being the Amber project. And finally, we have a special mention, government organization with implementation of cognitive technology. We call on stage Maharashtra Forest Department, ladies and gentlemen, the government of Maharashtra Forest Department. Maharashtra Forest Department, 4 crore plantation drive in line with global initiatives to mitigate the effects of climate change, and in addition, frequent droughts in Maharashtra which triggered water scarcity, falling groundwater tables and deteriorating overall habitat, an initiative that envisaged Honorable State Minister, Finance and Planning, Shri Sudhir Mugwanti, to envision the Green Maharashtra mission under Maharashtra Forest Department. With that, ladies and gentlemen, can we also put our hands together for Mr. Uday Sangani? Thank you so much, sir, for being with us on stage. I'd now like to call on stage Shri Ajit Joshi, Secretary CSI Mumbai. Can we please put our hands together for Mr. Ajit Joshi, Secretary CSI Mumbai, ladies and gentlemen, for the final category, that is the Best Startup Company of the Year. And the Best Startup Company of the Year. Any guesses? Do we have startups out here? How many startups in the house? Startups, I can't see any hands of startups. Oh, so there, 1, 2, we have, oh yeah, we have a couple of startups out there. So, do you think you're going to be winners? Startups, yeah? Yes? Critical? And with the best startup company of the year, ladies and gentlemen, this goes to District Administration Kulu. Do we have members of District Administration Kulu? Well, district administration is helping the unit by promoting government platforms like exhibitions, festivals, etc. and etc. So we're going to give the members of district administration Kulu the award much later. We have the next company for the best startup company of the year, that is Global Tech and Infosec Private Limited, GTIS. Do we have any members of Global Tech and Infosec Private Limited, GTIS? Well, Global Technology and Information Security is leading in the world of Compliance as Service, CWAS, and Global IT Solution Managed Security Service Provider. We're going to give the award much later to the company. The next award for Best Startup Company of the Year goes to Preksh Innovations Private Limited. Preksh Innovations Private Limited. They've created a model named VR Technology Platform for Immersive Experiences. Alright, with that we have a special mention for the Startup Company of the Year. I'm sure Mr. Ajit Joshi is waiting to give the award for one of them. And do we have Maxofi Technologies Private Limited in the house? Oh yes, we have the members of Maxofi Technologies Private Limited. Maxofi Technologies Private Limited Android Surveillance Application is a tool for Android devices on installing on phones. Gives each and every details of the Android phone, no matter the version of Android. It helps you get all the call logs, messages, images, recordings, list of apps installed, GPS tracking, contact list, which can make calls, send messages, delete apps, start call recording, camera remotely. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, we have the best individual for creating cybersecurity awareness. Can we call on a stage Dr. C.R.S. Kumar, Defense Institute of Advanced Technology. Ladies and gentlemen, the best individual for creating cybersecurity awareness. A round of applause for Dr. C.R.S. Kumar. Thank you so much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, can we also put our hands together for Mr. Ajit Joshi for being with us on stage. I'd once again like to call Mr. C. Kaswadkar on stage to give away the award. Ladies and gentlemen, Ladies and gentlemen, the best CIO of the year, as mentioned much earlier in the banking sector, the winner was Mr. Mrutyunjay Mahapatra, and he is here in our midst from State Bank of India. Can we have Mr. Mrutyunjay Mahapatra? State Bank of India launched the state-of-the-art debit card management system. To meet the next generation requirements, SBI DCMS is being used for insurance, management of debit cards for State Bank of India, domestic and foreign offices with 99.99% uptime. The new system issues around 2 lakh cards per day, and current card base of the bank is around 36 crores, which is around 40% of the market share in banking industry. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'd also like to call Mr. Mahapatra once again on stage to collect the award for SBI Life Insurance Company. So the winner being the best CRO of the year, Mr. NKV Roop Kumar. So we'd like you to collect the award.
Roop Kumar is here.
All right, okay. Oh, sorry, my bad. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Mahapatra. Thank you so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that we come to the end of the awards. A round of applause for Mr. C. Kaswadkar. And for the closing remarks, once again, I'm going to call on stage Dr. Gupta. Dr. Gupta, on stage, Honorary Head of CSI Mumbai Chapter.
So before Dr. Gupta arrives, I'll steal a minute because as a jury, now I would like to say, because in awards you saw many organizations which are not typical organizations, which are very well funded, very structured, management support sometimes is difficult, the circumstances under which they work, they are not so easy. And despite that, many such organizations did a significant amount of work. So I'm, as a jury member and as a panel, on behalf of panel, I'd like to express sincere appreciation to their work, because I am conscious of the difficult circumstances in which the projects are given, particularly in government sector. It's relatively easy for someone like me who has been kind of in a BFSI industry, which is always reasonably cash rich and reasonably proactive towards taking this. But I sincerely appreciate the efforts by the people who in cooperative sector, government sector. I think all of us on behalf of CSI would like to put our hands together to compliment you. Over to you, sir.
Good evening, friends. I congratulate all the individuals as well as the organizations, be it government or otherwise, for getting the awards. I'm appreciative and thank the jury who struggled, I should say, for good 30 days or more to arrive at a consensus as to who deserves the best. I believe that those who file the nominations are all the best. But then somebody has to stand out. Somebody has to come out with flying colors. And they wouldn't have dared to file the nominations had they not achieved. Some of the people who filed the nominations and could not get the awards this year, I'm sure they would struggle more towards the success. Not failure, but no aim is a crime, they say. And success is always a stepping stone. Failure is always a stepping stone to success. That's what I've learned throughout my life, and that's what I have practiced and taught to my students. And that's the motivation that I keep on giving. And I should not say that we have come to a good two-day conference end, because this is the beginning. As I announced this morning, we are re-christening this particular conference as IT2030. Can I hear a loud round of applause for IT2030? The next edition would be IT2030, 2030. And I've already exalted my team to think of a appropriate theme, a befitting theme, and I'm sure none of us would be able to put it together today. For we have always believed in getting the frontline area of the IT industry, the newest in the IT industry. So we will have to wait till at least about 9 months from now, 3 months prior to the next conference, that is IT 2030, for the theme to come out and for us to have all the pleasure all over again to get the speakers along, to talk to people, to talk to sponsors. One special thing I noticed this year was many people came and thanked me. Sir, you sent us a LinkedIn invitation and we came. People from Gurgaon, people from Chennai, Imphal. That was really heartening. That was really heartening. In the sense, it gave a self-realization to us. The kind of voluntary work that we are doing for our organization, through our organization, is ringing the bells in the hearts of many people around the country. And that's what gives us more energy to move forward. With these few words, I would say, not goodbye, but well doing until we meet the next time.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Gupta. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please put our hands together once again for Dr. Gupta? And Dr. Gupta, yes, since you're on stage, so you will have to do some work for us. That is, give away the award. We've had one company missing and they've come right now. Best company in terms of information security implementation. Can we have the members of TransUnion Civil Limited? Members of TransUnion Civil Limited. All right, there they've come, ladies and gentlemen. A round of applause for TransUnion Civil Limited. All right, ladies and gentlemen, like Dr. Gupta mentioned, this is not the end, this is just the beginning with the vision that we are creating, not just 2020, but 2030. Ladies and gentlemen, this couldn't have been possible without our sponsors, so can we put our hands together once again for our sponsors, ladies and gentlemen. Accenture Technology, IIT Bombay, Broadside, V4Web, Right Angle, Banking Frontiers, and but obviously the Mumbai chapter of CSI. Well, it is said transforming businesses with cognitive technologies, but you cannot transform any business without happiness, ladies and gentlemen. So with the happiness in our heart, a round of applause for yourselves for making it here, ladies and gentlemen, and making this a most successful conference for the 6th and 7th of October. This is Anchor Abner Dias. I'm your corporate anchor, wedding MC. I do a lot of television shows. I'm going to see you someplace, somewhere, sometime soon. Till then, keep smiling, bring out the happiness. Bye-bye. God bless you, and have a great, great evening. Thank you so much.